Hello, everybody. Today I'm going to be talking with my dear friend Danielle about conscious relationships. Let me write it down. And we're going to be touching on polarity and relationship dynamics. So I'm really excited. Danielle is, all right, let me. And I want to name this conscious relation. Oh, hello. Hi, Danielle.
Hello, Malak.
So yeah, I was just introducing you. So I was saying Danielle is a dating coach and a matchmaker, and I love her work. That's why I'm so excited to talk with you today, and chat about conscious relationships. We're going to be touching on relationship dynamics and polarity, both in a heterosexual relationship and a homosexual relationship. So I'm really excited about today's topic. So Danielle, if you want to introduce yourself, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for having me here, Malak, and thanks for also pretty much putting the introduction. Yes, I'm a San Diego-based matchmaker and a date coach specifically for single, independent women. I help them tap into their femininity so that they can attract a lover they can thrive with. It's all about
That's really
femininity.
beautiful. Thank you, Danielle, for introducing yourself. Let me introduce myself as well. So I am a personal trainer. I call myself a conscious leader because I lead in different spaces, but I'm a personal trainer, embodiment coach, and I also just teach women how to be in their bodies, connected to themselves, and feel confident and fierce as well through strength training, and also embody their femininity. And so just like finding that deeper connection to if I would sum it up, I would say just how to fall in love with being a woman and the own version of a woman, your own definition of being a woman. And so I'm really excited to talk to you about that. So let's start with what is conscious relationship? How would you define a conscious relationship in your opinion, or a healthy relationship?
So when I think of conscious relationship, I think of self-aware and knowing the language of, being, it's one thing to be emotional, right? But sometimes we don't know how to put it into words and it shows up as to tantrums or aggression. But conscious relationship is like we're able to observe the emotion and we can label it and we can speak it out loud. And it's not an easy thing to do. It takes a lot of practice. But for me personally, it took me years to practice that kind of language.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. It's like a conscious relationship. There was this post I saw the other day, and I reposted it. It's like a healthy relationship isn't supposed to bring the best out of you. It's supposed to mirror you and then hold a safe space where you can grow. And that requires two people to be self-aware and ready to do the work and not blame the other person for everything. So I love your definition of it, of just being aware of yourself and your emotions and not putting the blame on the other person. And that's where real growth happens and alchemy between two people. Let's see what Erica's saying. As someone who works with kids, I get tantrums. You answered my question. I love you, Erica. um, and so another question that I was thinking about is like, and you can talk about and touch on it with like your current relationship, because you model such a healthy relationship, and I love it when you share about it online. Of like how did it started, and like how was the polarity, especially in a same-sex relationship, was working out for you? Because I feel like a lot of people, when we're talking about masculine and feminine, they associate it a lot with gender, and I love how you still work with polarity in a same-sex relationship. So if you want to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so some things that come up for me in regards to, polarity, even in same-sex relationship. I think about, some of you know I'm with Kyla, and I think about when the attraction started to happen. I remember I was at her birthday and our vibe was just different because prior to that, we were just friends. and we were both probably in our masculine energy at the time. So like there was a little bit of attraction, but not enough for her to like pursue me in that way, right? But it was completely different when I went to her birthday. Like my aura was completely different. I remember Erika saying, "You seem softer, Danielle. You were a little more, you were a little closed off back then and angry." And I feel like that's also related to how Kyla experienced me, where I'm more in my femininity when I went to her birthday party. And she explained to me how like she felt a polarity pull uh, coming towards me and pursuing me. So it's really interesting how it shows up that way. It doesn't matter if you're a man or woman. It just the polarity shows up. It's part of nature.
And how would you describe? I feel like there's a lot of talk on social media about like being your feminine to attract a masculine man, and a lot of women maybe don't understand that if they haven't experienced it. So if you would to express how that feels to you and how your experience of it is, just to kind of model that.
Oh, oh man, I understand. It's hard to put it into words because it's all an energetic kind of thing, right? And what I know what you and I try to do the best we can to put those energetics into words. But the way I think of it, I think of back when I used to be heavily in my masculine energy and I knew nothing about femininity. I remember how frustrated I was with my own self-esteem and not being able to understand men or relationships in general. I think about how I delved into the entertainment industry, being a dancer. In a very strange way, I didn't even know, but I learned how to embody my femininity through that industry. So
Wow.
I did that for 5 years, and I still had no idea what femininity was. I had to embody it first, and then after becoming a coach, that's when I was like, oh, it's a thing, and women want this thing. Okay, now I got to put it into words. So if I were to explain to that version of myself who knew nothing about it, I would tell her, um, it's the practice of really being. It's the practice of receiving. It's the practice of saying yes when a man is offering something to you, or would anyone offer something to you, and they feel good giving it to you, and it's the practice of feeling good receiving it as well. And that's
Yeah,
been a
I love that.
hard concept for me back then because I think about that version of me in the past. I could not let anyone in. I couldn't even receive compliments. Like it was so hard. I couldn't trust anyone. It was so hard to let anybody in. And I know
Yeah.
that's what a lot of women these days are experiencing. They have a hard time trusting.
Yeah, I love how you touched on two things. One, it's like the energetics. It's
Mm-hmm.
something that you feel. So it's actually hard to express in words, which I totally relate. And then I felt it as you were talking. Like which is interesting. Like right away, I felt it in my body. Like it's the way I would express it as like a physical sensation when I'm connected to my feminine. There's a slight feeling of a turn on because the body is open, the body is relaxed, and the way you said like letting a man in, it's literally on a physical level, letting that masculine in, and also on an energetic level, feeling it. Like there's this like this feeling of penetration. It is, you feel the energy.
Yeah.
And I think like when I start to teach women like how to embody their femininity, one, it actually helps when you do the hair and do the makeup, even though it's not about that,
Mm-hmm.
but it does help because it's hard to look at yourself in the mirror when you have full makeup on, soft hair, or like whatever hair done. Like it's hard not to feel a little feminine at least.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I kind of want to, okay, I want to add more depth to what you just said right now. What I wish someone told me when I was single and clueless. I wish someone told me that I needed to make space in my calendar where I'm just relaxing before I go on a date. Because what I used to do, my rookie move, was to work, and squeeze a little time of dating. I thought, to me, that was normal. But gosh, what a difference when I decided to put, hours before the date where like I have time to slow down and take a long shower, use the body scrubs, use my skincare and turn on some music that makes me want to dance and be in such a good mood. You want to transition yourself to like really be in your body, like you said. And that's what femininity is.
Yeah.
Be in your body before going into the date. So, and the problem with a lot of modern women do is that they think they have to impress their date with the career that they have. And don't get me wrong, having a career is beautiful. But if you keep showing up with like this energy is like work, 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 and like I'm this rigid person and I'm like stronger than you and I have more than you, so you better try to outcompete me. Versus you're in your body, you're in a playful mood because you like you put yourself in a yummy space. So like being with the music and you're ready to be flirty. That's what the masculine is attracted to. They want playfulness from the women.
I can totally like relate to everything that you said. One, like the slowing down is key. Like I need a lot of space. I need a lot of stillness, a lot of room to transition between one thing to another, or I'm just very much in my masculine pursuing energy. And like my partner right now, that's his energy. Like he's just one thing after another, and it's very attractive to me. I'm like, you do you, you know where to find me. I do one thing and he does like 5 or 10, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like if a woman is a go-getter, like I support that, but not having that time to just do it even for yourself. Like all these practices that you do for a day, I actually do them on a regular basis because it feels good to me, because beauty is very feminine. Like softness is very feminine, and I totally relate to you as well. As like career is very attractive. Like a lot of men now are attracted to that as well, like a career driven woman. But I think the piece that I also relate with you is making that this biggest thing accomplishment about you. When you have something that you don't even need to work for, which is just you existing as you, like your being. And it's like when you see a little kid, right? Like you want to give the kid the whole world. Like it's so adorable. It's like I can't help it. I just want to give that kid everything, or a pet, or like, and they're just because they're cute.
I'm laughing so much because I think about how we all look at our dogs or our cats. Damn, you live such a good life. But I love you, and I'm going to keep spending on you.
Exactly.
You see how they sunbathe and they follow the sun on the floor? Like, it's just so funny to see.
I know, I totally agree. It's exactly that. It's like, I just love you, and I just want to spoil you and spend everything.
It's a funny example, but it's a good example, actually. Yeah.
It is. And like, the thing that I want to, like, have the shift is that it's your achievement is not that they're nothing. They're amazing. Your degree, your ambition, like your go-getter, your fire is beautiful, but also just you who you are, without everything that you have accomplished, is what's really worthy. And that's the beauty of it. Like if you just really come down to everything else, just shed away from you, you on your own is amazing. And I think that's what we're really trying to get at, is like, don't try to project that you're awesome. Know that you're amazing and magnetic. Your energy is inward. It's receptive. It's not.
And
like,
I know that's a hard concept for some modern women to grasp, because I'm thinking about the younger version of me that didn't know any better. She was always in the proving energy. So there's women out there that have a hard time grasping that concept because maybe they've had to prove themselves all their childhood, and so it showed up in their adulthood.
Yeah, I feel that. It's like if you did, I think it really comes back to just knowing what your like strengths are as well as a woman. And your strength, it's really an authentic journey, I feel like, of finding what is authentic to you, what your strength is, and that's what shapes your self-worth, like resting in that. Like for me, what makes me feel connected to myself, to my femininity, to what I define myself as a woman, as my superpower, and everybody is unique, is knowing that I'm extremely empathetic. Like my emotional bandwidth, is very big. It's like my heart is a muscle, and I practice every day by cultivating compassion, nurturing, love, beauty, and that to me felt very feminine. That to me felt very natural. It wasn't my productivity. It's not my achievement that makes me feel like this is so much bigger than this. Like again, there's nothing wrong with that, but like finding what is more authentic and what is real to who I am, and also just my body as well, like my sensuality, my softness, connecting to my cycle as well really connects me to my yin energy. So how, when you're coaching women and you find it difficult for them to grasp that concept, what are some of the things that you simplify for them to relate and understand what that is?
Basic level, I just encourage them to practice saying yes when being offered anything. Even if it's not from a man. What if it's something from the family and they're like, okay, I want to gift you something. Can you tell me what you want? Instead of be like, oh, don't get me anything. You just don't need to get me anything. Practicing, yeah, you know what? Actually, I would really like it if I had some extra tools for my car or just something simple like that. Think of something you really need. Maybe it's not about the grandiose things that, maybe you're a simple kind of woman, and practice receiving things you actually need. Like just start from there.
Yeah, start saying yes. I love that. It really does help with your self-worth. Um, for me, when I try to help them connect, I actually do this like meditation, where I take them, and I'm just going to explain the meditation, where I take them in their imagination to being around a masculine energy and how that feels. And it just like a practice, just taking them into the mind, wear something that makes you feel very feminine, very soft, because each woman knows how that feels in her body. Like she just
Oh,
knows.
totally.
It's just
Yes.
natural and normal. She just knows when she's like soft. And then and how does she feel in the presence of a man that's extremely masculine? And it's so interesting how each one of them has very different feelings. Some of them get slightly turned on. Some of them get really defensive and fearful, and right away want to push. And some of them feel scared. Like and then just hearing their answers can say so much about the relationship, to how they're connected to their femininity and how much guards they have, and the relationship to the masculine as well, of do you actually feel safe in the presence of a masculine energy, or it's something that you have trauma around. And so it's the body that tells them how that experience is. And then all the other tools of like, have a self-care practice, make sure that you have time where you're taking care of your hair, taking care of your skin, so you can feel your value, going to fitness, but really just tuning them into the energetics, I feel always opens their eyes of, oh, I didn't know how that I would have this reaction. And some of them were like, I loved it, and this is what I want to feel the whole time. Like, I miss it. It's really interesting. And then when I have them do the practice of just feeling into the energy and moving around the room, a lot of them say when I was in my feminine, I started moving my hips and I started noticing all the round things in the room. And one of the, when they were connected to their masculine, they were like, I was feeling it in my shoulders. I was feeling really powerful, but it was an exhausting energy to carry. And some are like, oh, it just feels me, it feels normal. I'm in this energy the whole time. And I can read it immediately, like because of the attunement to the energy, I can know a woman, no matter how dolled up she is, if her energy is masculine or feminine, you can feel it. And so for you, what helps you tune into that energy, and how do you identify it in other women?
You just shared a lot of like just great examples, first of all, and how I identify it in other women. I pay attention to how they talk and how they talk to others, and it gives me a clue on how they talk to themselves too. So those are the things I pay attention to and the things they prioritize in their life. And as far as like getting me into my femininity, you've touched on it already, but yeah, it's all about like really taking care of ourselves. And that's why we see a lot of content out there about self-love or loving yourself, and the stereotypical thing like, yeah, give yourself spa treatment, But there's truth to that. When you truly take care of yourself, and I love that you teach, you know, taking care of our physical body, we feel amazing. I definitely feel more in my femininity after, you know, I like how you call it fierce. You get that, you show up fierce in the gym, or you really put in that workout. And then afterwards, like, I just feel like I can relax and receive things well, no matter what happens.
I love that. That's really nice. It's just being in tune with who you are. That's what I hear from you mostly. It's like, well, it's really effortless. I just get to come back home to my body and relax and soften, and that's really beautiful. Yeah.
And it's a hard concept for a lot of modern women to grasp that, because we do live in a hustle culture. You know, it's one of those things we've got to try our best to let women know, like, actually, it's not shameful to rest. It's not shameful to take care of yourself. It's not shameful to put yourself first, right?
Yeah, and not attach your worth to anything else. Yeah, absolutely. Let's touch a little bit more about also relationship dynamics itself. How do you feel like that relates to some of gender roles? Like, what's your take on gender roles and in relationship dynamics?
It's very intriguing, because I used to be one of those people who are like, let's not do that. Let's not do those roles. It's archaic. It's, you know, blah, blah, blah. But the more I look into, when I just focus on studying relationships, I see the energetics, and I see how it all plays out, and I see how it creates a healthy family foundation. Like, I see how it strengthens the structure, and how it just complements each other and works with each other well. So the more I see that, I'm like, actually, our ancestors have got something there. You know, they put it in different, it shows up in different religions, and it's for a reason. You know, they
Yeah.
saw something that works, and they made their own interpretation of that. They made their own story out of that, and something uh, they created those kind of morals to follow. And I can see why we get turned off by it at first. It's like, we don't want to be too rigid and not be ourselves, right? But the beautiful thing about modern times is that we still get to be ourselves, and there's an opportunity for us to explore, like, why we had that back then. Like, there's something about that works.
Yeah, that I love what you just said exactly. Because I'm coming to realize that myself, there are certain roles that I naturally enjoy more, and the me before would question it as like, is this society? Because that's the only thing I knew, and then I would resist it and fight it. But then now I realize, like, but why? When it feels good, like it feels more
Yes.
natural. It feels
Yes.
amazing.
Exactly. Yeah. And so what that got me, you're having me thinking of back when I knew nothing about being in the exotic dancing industry, right? I had a taste of what it's like to be valued for my time. And, you know, that's why they call it gentleman's club. I realized, you know, they're being a gentleman, and they're tipping you every time they spend time with you. And it's not always about lap dances and whatever, but that was the moment where I learned how to value my own time. And imagine doing that 5 days a week or every weekend.
Wow.
It was such a, yeah, I embodied it. I embodied what valuing yourself feels like.
That is
So,
amazing. Wow.
yeah, I get treated differently there, because when gentlemen go in there, they look at you as an above average woman. You know, they want to look for women that, this sounds messed up, but they're looking for women that don't look like their girlfriend, or don't look like their um, nagging wife. They're looking for femininity. So it's very strange to think about, but that's part of why they go there.
I don't think it's strange at all, actually, because there's a girl I follow also. She talks about it in a very spiritual way of
Oh,
like embodying, like, yeah, and she really opened my eyes, and how she actually has this vision, Lana. She has this vision of having like a conscious,
yes.
yeah, a
Follow her.
conscious strip club.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I actually saw her vision as so beautiful, because I think she's up to something. She said, like, a lot of them come And yeah, society might perceive them as just broken or drinking or escaping life, and there could be truth to that in many ways. But she's like, what if I saw the best in them? Like, it became therapy sessions, some of the lap dances. It's just bringing them like this healing feminine energy of completely being what, you know, the goddess, if you want to call it too. Even though people, you know, perceive things differently, but it's really who you embody. And you could be the safest place for that man.
That's
And
true.
I and you know, out in his world, I don't know, I've cultivated just also working with men in an intimate way through the massage. I've seen like how they're craving vulnerability and openness, and these places where they get to be that, they get to have that without being ashamed, because one, he's paying for it. Two, for some reason that dancer, that exotic dancer, actually might be very understanding, and she might not be judgmental. And that's true. And so I saw that from a very compassionate place, of like, some of them are actually seeking something deeper, just to be heard, to be seen, to be felt. I believe a woman who's truly embodied in her femininity, she knows how to soften. And just like when you're around someone who's really energetic, you start being energetic, her softness co-regulates anyone's nervous system.
Yeah.
I really believe that. Like that soft, why do they like the soft voice of a woman? Or like the dancing, you know, just the muse of seeing a woman dance. Like, how much money has been spent on you just to watch you move your body? Like, it says something about the female body. It says something about the feminine energy, its beauty, its softness. And just being around that can soften a man's body. Like, he's having this whole day penetrating the world on a mission, like productive, hustling one thing after another. And then imagine coming just to softness, to beauty, to, and I think that for me is such a beautiful dance. When I get to provide that for him, and he provides something else for me, the structure, even the finances, the care, the safety, and I get to provide like the safe space where he gets to be vulnerable, where he gets to soften, where he gets to feel nurtured, the aliveness. I read something that says like, men sustain society and women sustain life. And I felt like that just hit, like it was just so beautifully said, and that's so true.
I also read something a little. That's great too. It's slightly similar, but it said something about how the masculine takes care of the external world and the feminine takes care of the inner world.
Yeah, exactly. Pretty much it. Whether I said man or woman, female, masculine, feminine, it really is just that intertwine of things. And you get to choose, because even if you are in a homosexual relationship and the masculine energy feels right in your body and it feels good, then that's beautiful. That works with you. And it's whatever energy that you feel more authentic to you. That is your essence. And finding a partner that is in the other polarity, and that's what feels natural to them, then that's where like that traction, where you're filling each other's gaps, where you're complementing each other in many ways. And I think that's the beauty of partnership, is it not being the same, but being complementary to each other.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's another concept that people are trying to understand. They're like, they need to have the same values, they need to have the same this, same that. Like, yeah, you need a similar vision, but you don't need to be the exact same person.
Yeah. You know, that's what's been opened my eyes to lately, like recently, is I've always thought I wanted a boy version of me. It was like, oh, I just want a boy version of me. And that is so funny. I do not want a boy version of me, or a girl version in that matter. I do not want a partner less like me. That is horrible. It is not a successful relationship in many ways. And
so funny.
The relationship that really complimented me was actually someone who was from a very different world than me. And I was like, oh, I get to expand my world, because your world is so different. And I have so much to offer, because my world is so different.
You're thriving. You're thriving together. That's what's so freaking beautiful about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's so much that like you touched on, and there's like so much I want to bring up. Where do I even start? So I was talking from like the shame point of view of being in the exotic dancing industry, only because I was kind of assuming some of our audience may not be used to that industry, and they typically get triggered when they hear about like, oh, you talk to another man's girlfriend or you talk to another man's wife. Um, but I definitely want to explore more in how I also relate to Lana Shea's way of dancing in there, because it was beautiful for me to see men let down their mask when we're in the private room where they have to spend a lot of money. It's an interesting exchange. The more money they spend, the more vulnerable they are. It's very fascinating for me to witness. And it's beautiful to be able to give them that experience where they feel like they're the only important person in the world. You know,
I
and
love
I
that.
had my own experience where I went to the strip club as a customer, and it's not because I was broken. It was because I had a I was I was scared to explore uh, female relationships, or even being like exploring my attraction towards women at the time. So that was eye-opening for me, and it's not like people hold this huge stigma in strip clubs, but that was huge for me to do. And it was kind of funny for me to experience how a lot of the dancers, they were scared to come up to me because they thought I was scouting and looked like I'm about to audition. And I'm like, oh, well, thank you. I take that as a compliment.
Oh
But
my
they were
God,
scared to
wow.
see. Yeah, they thought I was just scouting. And I'm like, no, I actually love women. And I see the shock in their face. Like, damn, you're fucking gorgeous. Really? You want to dance from us? I'm like, yes, I love women.
That is so funny. I totally relate. I actually, the strip club was one of the first places I went to explore my sexuality and my relationship with women.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Tell
yeah.
me
And
about your
I
favorite
got a lap
experience. How'd you
dance
choose her?
too.
You
Hmm?
got a lap dance too.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
How'd you
I
choose your
loved it.
favorite? Do you remember her stripper name and everything?
No, it was very long time ago.
Ah,
It was like it
okay.
was like a very, very long time ago that I completely denied that I had any attraction. I was like, yeah, I felt nothing. And the guy that took me was like, liar, I saw your face. No, it took me a couple of years to come to accept that. So yeah, that was at the very beginning.
Oh my gosh, I would love to go to the strip club with you.
Me
I think
too.
that'd be so
I think we would have
fun.
so much fun. Yeah, yeah. Maybe in December when Natalie comes. I don't know if Natalie's still
Ooh,
tuned in.
during
Oh,
Christmas
Natalie
time.
and
That's more
seeing pole
intimate.
dancers?
Right? Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah, that would be
It's already
so
happening.
much fun. So I love that you shared that because it's so true. Natalie's here. She's like,
She said,
yes,
yeah.
definitely. Let's put that in the itinerary. When Natalie comes, we're going to see. I would love that. And we would go
Yeah.
to like the best one in San Diego too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I thank you for sharing that, and thank you for being open about it. I think there's a lot of, like you said, people that might not still understand and comprehend and have a certain idea. Like even my sister, when she came and saw a pole, I forget, like people when they come and they see a pole, I'm not even in the strip club, at least not yet.
Right.
And
Yeah,
when they
people's
see it,
level of what they
they
see.
feel the trigger. Yeah, like I was just
Mm.
so excited. Even around the gym, I would just like whenever I do a trick, I would go like and show my coworkers or something. Look at my new trick, and then I see the reaction being negative, and I'm like, why? Why? Like this is so badass than your squat, by the way.
Yeah.
and, and then people have like this judgment, and I think you just being open about it and us talking about it more openly can release some of that shame and can clarify that to people that first, as a woman, it's really been an empowering sport just to be on it, an art form. And in many ways, it's just so amazing. Like I found my sensuality. Femme and Fierce was heavily inspired by pole because it has that strength and sensuality.
Mm.
And then also the experience of working with men. Like
Mm.
I am so grateful that I started working with male clients because I was teaching a lot of women empowerment, but missing the piece of seeing men's perspective and
We need
cultivating
that.
compassion and understanding was like the teaching is so incomplete. And now I can see some of the people that teach without having that perspective, there's something missing. Because you as a woman also need to learn how to understand the masculine, to heal your relationship with the masculine. And I was only able to do that when I held spaces for men, and was in situations like that, like through massage, through being intimate with them, with changing the narrative. Only also just, on OnlyFans, just healing that narrative was really empowering. Seeing more to them than lustful or animalistic, and healing that shame, and seeing their heart and their emotions. And I don't know, I just love that you shared that. And I am like so passionate about that topic specifically.
Me too.
Because it was a huge turning point for me.
Yeah.
And it was what enabled me to attract a man. All these narratives, and just going in the pain, going through the shadows, challenging my own belief system of my relationship with men, and not just the masculine. Because for me to heal the masculine, I needed to heal it with men, which the origin, which is my dad, and then every man that was in my life. And it happened through doing this type of work. Just being sexual, allowing that sexual energy to run through me. Let me see what Natalie's saying. Paul, and working with me, and is such a treat. Yes,
she met men.
Yes, working with men.
Yeah,
it is such a treat. Like, it absolutely is. Like, at some point, I'm like, I might start just talking about men empowerment now, just because I saw a different side. I saw their vulnerability. I saw healthier examples. I saw men that are working on themselves. I saw them behind the mask of what they're suffering from themselves. And like, so even if you want to add anything to that, I feel like you have a lot of experience just working with so many.
Passionate with everything you're just saying right now. And it made me think of how I worked with a masculinity coach for 3 years. He was just a business coach, but he just so happens to be a masculinity coach. So it was so cool to gather his insight for 3 straight years. And I understood men at such a different level since working with him. And I've noticed, like, it was so healing for me to let down my guard when I'm around men, and the way I show up. And I see how much I'm treated differently when I don't have my guard as high. Because when they feel that, like, you're so combative and you're, like, just so rigid, sometimes it can trigger men too to want to protect themselves as well. So it's a really interesting thing.
It is.
I kind of lost my train of thought, but there was, it'll come back to me later. But there's.
Oh, you were talking about the masculinity coach.
Oh, yeah. I learned so much in how men receive certain things, and this was so funny. This was during the time I was single and I was rotationally dating, so I got to know different types of men, and I realized, like, it was so eye-opening for me to realize how emotional they actually are. And being in the industry for so long, and even prior being in the industry, I had such a negative view of men because I had so much traumatic experiences with them. But when this masculinity coach gave me more insight on what he really means behind what he says, I'm like, wow, he's kind of looking for some nurturing in my words so he could show more. Like, it sounds like he's trying to show me something but is scared to. Wow. So it was interesting to see that side of men for those 3 years, and that gave me positive experiences with them. And I so want this for the modern women that are having a hard time.
Yeah,
I see the gap.
It is a gap, and I love how you shared it. It's because you have power that it's like, for me as a female, it's like my power was never coming from the place that I thought it should be, which is just the competition or having that energy. And it was like, the feminine is all about collaboration to start with. Yes. And so now the more I have tuned myself into that energy, my natural instinct is always to collaborate, never to compete, and to always look at how, community is, how the heart is, leading completely from the heart space. And for me, like, in my current partnership, I allow him to lead in many ways. Like, I even asked him sometimes he ever wants help, it's like, do you want me to help you decide, or do you got this? And he's like, I got this. I'm like, I love you for guiding this. However, I do lead in emotions, like, and he listens to me whenever I am helping him process emotions. And he listens to me when I'm intuitive about something. But then a lot of other aspects, like I have never planned a date. It's always his plan. I can suggest, and like when he leads in his business, or he leads in our relationship too, like I allow him to lead the relationship. Take it at the pace that you see right. I trust you. I can share with you my desires, and then I realize that he's always responding to my energy. He's responding to my desires. So I'm actually leading in a very different way. He's leading the pacing and taking action and introducing me to certain things. But for me, it's like the readiness is coming just as the more I'm open and inviting to it. It's like, oh, am I resisting this, or am I just opening myself up to it? And then also just leading him through the body. Like I'm teaching him how to have communication with the body. And he's always like teaching me how to compartmentalize my head a little bit better. Doing that boxing, like, you know, like this is here, this is here.
And the way Kyla's relationship. I love this. Oh, this reminds me of me and Kyla's relationship. I love this.
Yeah,
no, keep going. He helps you with compartmentalizing.
I'm like, I relate to that. Yeah. It's beautiful. And there's one time that he explained how he perceived me, and I was like, wow. He's like, I didn't know which box to put you in. I have all these boxes in my life. My relationship with this, my relationship with my job, my relation. And then I realized you were not meant to be put in a box. You were meant to integrate everything in my life. He's like, you're like ether. You have helped me integrate and connect the pieces of my life together. And I'm like, that is so beautiful. And that is exactly it. Because you can't box me, because it's like, I can fit you in here, I can fit you in here, I can bring you here, and you're always complimenting things and teaching me the way. I'm like, that is, like, in my head, I'm like, you just literally explain what the feminine is. It's like the shapeshifter. She's like how, and even the mind of a woman works. It's like she's always with webs, like all over, and you're trying to put it in a box. It's not a box. And it's like, and I was like, I didn't even know I had time to fit you in my schedule. I'm like, but then you just fit it in. You're just like weaved in together, everything. I was like, yeah, beautiful. So I would love to hear how your like relationship is, and how your current dynamic is with Koila.
No, it's been very similar. She's more of the logistics and things with so much rationality. I'm the very emotional one. But I appreciate, and she appreciates how emotionally in tune I am. And I mean, we're both pretty emotionally in tune with each other. A lot of times I don't even have to express often what I'm feeling. She can just read it from my body language in my face. And I really appreciate that. And she appreciates when I can do that for her too. It's just amazing how the way when we talk about anything, she's quick at making plans and putting things into action. I like to ask as many questions possible before we do the thing. That's my type of planning, but she's really great at addressing all of my concerns. And I've been also really good at being clear in what it is that I need. And she doesn't shame me for my emotions, and likewise with her. And it's just been very beautiful how we're conscious with each other in that way.
I love that. And I love the part where you mentioned like she's fast at taking action and putting things into plan. I absolutely relate, because he's like, he asked me and I'm like, let me feel it out in the moment. Like when the moment comes, like, but there's logistics to be taken care of.
She's like that too. Yeah.
And honestly, it feels so nice to be with someone that takes care of the logistics, because that is not my strength. Yeah. Like the planning, like that is not. And it helps me with trust in the relationship. It's something that I needed from my partner, to feel like I can rely on somebody, and when it comes naturally to them, it's just so amazing. And so I absolutely love to see that you're modeling that too. It's like she addresses my concerns, because she's an amazing leader. She thinks a couple of steps ahead. And that what
Yes.
makes you soften into your feminine, because someone is thinking 3 steps ahead of
See,
you.
I love that you mentioned that about your partner too, because like she's the exact same way. She always thinks ahead. Even when she talks about her business sometimes or her career, she's like, I don't like that I can't think 3 steps ahead because the people I'm working with, they're not being clear. I'm like, I love that you prefer to be clear so that you're always steps ahead. I appreciate that about her so much. And on the flip side, she tells me how like this kind of sounds like a stereotypical gender role example, but when we moved into our new place and we were putting our food together and stuff in the fridge, she's like, I trust you to put that stuff together because she knows like I can make it more appealing and spacious and like bring that
I love
vibe,
that.
right?
That is such a
Like,
simple
oh.
example, but very profound, and I love it.
Yeah, like I trust you to do that. Like she'll just bring in all the stuff in, and she trusts me to like make it nice. So
That is
I like
so
that.
nice. Exactly. It's like, it's very complimentary. She got the groceries, she got that, she took care of it.
Yeah.
And you're like, but now you're the one who's going to organize and make it flowy and flow great
Yes.
together.
Make it pretty now. Like you know how to make it pretty. I trust you to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. Is so adorable. And I love how you like you modeled that like polarity very well in a same-sex relationship, and it's beautiful that she feels really comfortable and loving that space and to hold it, and that's what makes that partnership very long, very beautiful. How long is it, by the way? How long has it been?
Almost 2 years now.
Nice. Wow, that's
Yeah.
amazing. That's beautiful.
Yeah. And then you said Tyson. That's his name, right?
Mm-hmm.
Has it been like
Yeah.
a month now? Or
It hasn't been that long yet. It's been I think we're going on to like a 4 months, so it's like a pretty new relationship.
oh.
Yeah, it's a pretty
Yeah,
new relationship.
it feels new.
That's
Yeah.
where
But
the
also sounds
excitement is coming in.
amazing. It is, yes.
But it's what I love about it is because I feel like it's the first relationship that I've had after doing so much work on myself and on my relationship to especially like feminine and masculine. And I wasn't really intentionally trying to attract a relationship. I was just doing the work for me. I was actually doing the work for my business, if I'm being honest. I'm like, I want to heal my relationship with the masculine so I can actually put some structure here.
I
But
remember
then
you sharing, like you were in that space where like you just don't feel ready for a relationship. And you said that with so much conviction.
I did.
So when I heard that like you're in a relationship, I'm like, oh man, I have questions. Like,
I know.
okay, so what?
I know.
Got you to feel like, okay, I'm open to this. Like, what were those qualities you saw in him? You're like, okay, I'm open to going into this now. Like, I feel ready for this now.
Ooh, I love this question, especially that you're a dating coach. You probably will approve of.
Yes, please.
So the first thing, the first green light was even before we met. He told me that he found like just taking care of all the logistics. It's like, we're gonna meet there. This is the restaurant. Decisive. Like, so everything was taken care of. And then also mentioned like, I've never taken anybody, but I'm really liking you because of the conversation that we had. So I was like, okay, this guy's feeling something. So it was like a special place. It was, I don't know if you know the library. It's next to Seneca. Anyways, so the first green light actually, the second one was, I screen my men so much that I actually, before I go out, we have a video call. Because
yes.
I am not spending 3-4 hours getting ready before I know what your vibe is. So, but I did it with him because I was like, all right, like, I'm feeling him. We had like from the conversation and what we were talking about, I was like, what are you looking for? What am I looking for? Are we in alignment? But then I freaked out, and then I tell him, you know what, I didn't call you on the phone, and I didn't see your video, and I'm feeling like scared. And he sent me this long message of like, I'm sorry you're feeling scared. I want you to feel safe, and it's important that you feel safe. If you want, I can hop on a video call with you before we go out on the date. And I was like, wait, what? Okay, that's cool. That's a green light. You know what? You just calmed my anxiety. I'm down to go. You cared about me feeling safe.
Character.
Yeah. And then every little detail, you know, you can pick up on every little detail on the first date. Like, the restaurant was on the floor up, so he didn't want me to just meet him there. He asked me, would you like me to come down and pick you up all the way when you arrive? And I thought that was a great sign. And then also, like, just throughout the date, the choice of the date, the place, just appreciating me from the beginning, telling me thank you for going out. So it all, like, the making it easy for me, feeling invested in the date, was hard to overlook. And then just the clear, very, very clear communication with you was
That's
just
so
amazing.
attractive, isn't it?
Yeah,
Because that's what
yeah,
got me with Kyla too. I wasn't sure if I was, wow, so similar to you, Malak. Like, I wasn't sure if I was in a place to be in a monogamous relationship. You know, I was dating multiple people at the time, but it was her clear communication and her, the way she handles responsibility and the way she responds to me being honest about where I'm at with my emotions and where I stand. And, you know, I didn't say yes right away. And she handled it in such a respectful manner. Like, I was like, okay, wow, I'm starting to think differently because this is relationship quality. Like, this is the kind of person I would want to be in a monogamous
yeah,
relationship with. Yeah. These
yeah.
characteristics are so powerful.
I want you to share some of those characteristics so we can end on that note, because I feel like what is marriage quality, because I didn't know until I met him. I was like, you're husband material. I didn't even know what husband material is. You know, like, I don't know where the relationship is gonna go. I don't like to ruin romance by expecting it to last, or, you know, but it was a clicking point, knowing the difference between why I never settled for. I was also dating multiple people. I was in the poly life, and then when I met him, I was like, "But you're marriage material. There's something different." So what was it? What was it for you that made you feel that way?
Okay, there's so much in what you just shared. I want to speak into how it's interesting that you're bringing up marriage material, right? Because in this modern day and age, more and more people are like finding less value in having marriage in their life. Like, oh, I don't need to do that. But there's something about the characteristics of a person that shows that, where it's like all those stories I've made about not being in a marriage and not needing a marriage suddenly changes, right?
Yeah,
and and yeah, to answer your question, it's responsibility. Responsibility is number one. And
yeah,
from a feminine point of view, and we're attracted to the masculine, responsibility and provision, they're not separate from each other if you think about it.
responsibility and what?
Oh, responsibility and provision. They're not separate from each other. Because, yes, a lot of people like to pay attention to, oh, I want the cute, lovey dovey stuff where we give gifts to each other or affection to each other. But relationships are so much more than that. But let's say if you actually care about growing a legacy, and I know not everyone wants to grow a family, but if you grow a family, you do need material things. You do need provision. You do need to make that happen, especially to make a stable environment for both you and your love and your kids. So when we think about that, that's what we look for, responsibility. I want to keep it as simple as possible. I don't want to make too big of a list. But women can sense that
Yeah,
when we go out dating, right? We can tell, even though sometimes we may not know how to verbalize it, we can tell if they're just out there for fun or like this is a person who's actually pretty damn responsible. And there's not
yeah,
a lot of that.
yeah. I totally agree with you. Responsibility comes in the little manners. Like, I feel
Mm-hmm.
responsible for you, so I'm making sure that you're taken care of from A to B. And it's in the first date you can feel it. And for me, a big green light, as I was hesitant the first couple of dates. I'm like, I don't. You're changing the direction of my life here, bro.
Yeah. That's where the
And
walls were coming from. Yeah, it's not you didn't trust him. It's just like, wait, do I trust myself?
yeah, exactly. No, the do I trust myself is a whole other topic. But before I
Uh,
go on a tangent, I do want to touch on responsibility. Um, it's insane. Like, he tells me the amount of responsibility in his life. It's crazy. It's a lot. And he manages to show up on time. When he says, I'm going to show up on time for you. When he says, it's like reliable. And I'm like, your bandwidth to manage all these responsibilities in your life is marriage quality. It really comes down to this, because like, can you hold a family? Because if you're not able to hold me, how can you hold my children? And there's a lot of men that I went out on dates, and it's not, money is a big part, because if you're able to hold money, it says something about you holding responsibility. It says something about your success in your career. So I wouldn't never deny that. So that was one thing, but it's like, can you hold everything else? Because I went out, and all of the guys I was dating, I mean, they're great in their own way, but they weren't able to hold, like, their capacity to hold that amount of responsibility wasn't feeling enough or safe enough for me to go, I can rest here. Like, I can go and stay here. This is where I want to nest. Like, literally, when a family is, this is where I want to nest. This feels safe. He can provide. Really basic animalistic thing. He can provide. He can take care of this.
Yeah. It's a funny thing to think about, basic animalistic things, but it's strange how, like, we developed a thing in our culture, like, oh, we don't need that. None of that stuff is important. Yeah, it is. It's important until you experience the consequences of it.
Yeah, exactly. No, for real. It's like, it's basic survival. Can you hold? Can you provide? Can you be the structure? Can you be responsible? Also responsible for your emotions. That's like, shows emotional maturity. Because for me, one of the things that I had a huge problem with the masculine and with men is emotional safety. And that, where I found it more with dating women, but I didn't find the structure and the physical safety. But man, I felt emotionally safe. But with men, there would be a lot of those, like, structure, everything, but I never felt completely emotionally safe to open up. So for many reasons. But that was also a key for me of like, oh, you also have emotional maturity. You can hold responsibility over your own actions. You don't project. You're able to hold space for my emotions, which is a huge thing. So yeah.
See, in everything you're listing, these are things that are not easy to do. And this is what women respect. And this is a popular thing that a lot of men are like, why doesn't my woman respect me? Or why don't modern women today respect? Like, they don't understand the role. I'm like, okay, there's something that comes with that, though.
Yeah.
You know, like, both people, they shouldn't be entitled, but both are playing some type of role to receive that. It's a collaboration.
It is a collaboration, because absolutely, because it's also important to see, like, to tell the women, and now since I've experienced that the shifting point that we were talking about earlier, now I teach the women to also hold responsibility as well. Like, how are you showing up? Because are you showing up, like, also distracted through the day, putting minimal effort into the date? Are you holding him? Are you taking care of yourself? Are you taking care of your body? Like, you also, it's like literally a collaboration. Like, so if he's providing that, you're also a provider in a different way. You're also providing something different. What is it that you are providing? And knowing that and leaning into that not only increases your self-worth, but it helps you understand what you're adding to the table, like what you're offering to a partnership. But being entitled and just expecting things, and I don't think that's true self-worth. I think
that's where a lot of
it's like a whole other topic on its own. Yeah, but I just wanted to like really touch on the collaboration part. It was like, they're both showing up in different capacities. Are we in agreement to collaborate in creating this beautiful partnership together?
Exactly. We're showing effort in completely different ways, and it's beautiful that we're different.
Yeah. All right, Danielle, it was so amazing talking to you. Let's wrap it up since we took an hour. Is there anything else you want to add?
No, I think that's it for now, but I feel like, maybe we can talk in the future, and there's so many things we can talk about.
I know.
But this was
there was just so much that we talked about today. The flow was just so amazing with you. So thank you so much for hopping on here with me. And I hope people enjoyed being here as much.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right.
Thanks for joining us, guys.
All right. Bye, Danielle. Have a good one.
Bye, Malak. You too.